All right. Let's talk about the first thing I want to talk about first. There's a comment here. Let me see if I can copy the first part of the comment and make that a title. Because I want to engage. If you're commenting and you're leaving comments and stuff like that, I want to engage you first. And everything else is secondary, okay? This person says marriage isn't beneficial for men. Marriage isn't beneficial for men. I wonder where it's coming from. Let me read the whole thing. Let me see. What time is it? All right, there you go. It says, there's literally no upside for a man. I have never even been remotely tempted to marry. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. So he said, I've never been remotely tempted to marry. Growing up in the same town, I have seen multiple marriages implode, and the men always say the same thing. They got screwed in the divorce. Now, here I am, nearing 40, had multiple relationships. Shout out to Stuart. That's the name of the person. Here I am, nearing 40, had multiple relationships, and due to my aversion to marriage, as have seen friends' marriages crumble the exact same way, I have throughout my life, and even if the wife cheats, she's still entitled to have. Even if the wife cheats, she's still entitled to have your stuff. Make that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. You're right. You probably should stay away from marriage. If you have this mindset, you're better off. You'll be doing yourself and the rest of the world a favor by staying away from marriage. I mean that. I promise you, I mean that with all my heart. And there's a few reasons, but probably the first reason that comes to mind is if you're going to, by any chances of stretch of the imagination, because the fact that you have to spell this out in so many words tells me that you still have doubts in your mind that you haven't made the right decision staying away from marriage, and that's dangerous. Okay, I want you to know that the right decision is to stay away from marriage, right? If you still have doubts, that's when you go around the internet, you're typing this kind of stuff. If you truly believe what you believe, hold on. If you truly believe what you're saying, you just believe. You don't have to sell that to anyone, right? You just believe what you believe. You never have to sell that to anyone. By the way, do me a favor, hit that like button as you're coming in. Hit that like button. You never have to sell it to anyone that you don't want marriage, right? So all you have to do is just know that everyone's path is different. Now, I turned 44 a few days ago, and my overall experience, my overall feeling about marriage is that it is in fact a good thing. He who finds a good wife is in fact a beautiful thing, right? But now, with that being said, if you find a bad wife, right? So now, I had a topic that I covered a few days ago where I talked about what exactly is a bad wife. Like, how do you define a bad wife, right? Something to that effect, right? Are you saying it's bad because your experience is bad? Because do you have bad experience in marriage, or you had a bad wife? Do you have bad experience in marriage, or you had a bad husband? Those are two different things, and you need to identify which one of them is your situation. There's a good chance that if you're one of the culprits, like one of the partners, you're not going to be able to determine. You need other people to help you see from outside of the forest, and then they can say, well, the situation you're talking about is bad experience, but you could have done this, you could have done that, you could have done that, right? But even with all of that, that mindset you have right now, especially that gives you the urge to go on the internet and be trying to sell the idea that marriage is not beneficial to men, that mindset, it's dangerous to go into marriage. Don't go into, because you're right.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, don't go into marriage. Don't do it. Okay, it's not worth it. Okay, you will basically punish yourself, but you'll punish other people's children, another person's daughter, right? Stay away from marriage, because when you go into a game feeling defeated, yes, it's a game. When I say game, I'm not talking about playing games with other people's life. I'm talking about it requires skills. Okay, you need to know what you're doing, right? So when you go into a game with the mindset that you're a loser, the rest of the universe has no choice but to agree with you. You're going to attract what you fear the most. Okay, that's in addition to the fact that yes, life is tough, and a lot of things that you said in your comment can in fact be your reality, because life is not guaranteed. Just because you go into a marriage does not mean it's going to be perfect. Wait, sorry, let me slow down. It's not the marriage's fault. Just because you were born into this life does not mean that your life will be perfect. There's going to be ups and downs, and that's just life. This has nothing to do with marriage. It's just that marriage is a function of the life of the people in it. All right. So again, he says there's literally no upside for a man. No. Let's correct that statement. There is no upside for you. There's literally no upside if you go into marriage. It's not worth it. Don't do that to yourself. Okay. He says, I've never even remotely tempted to marry. Good. Let's keep it that way. Okay. And what I'm suspecting is that you're having doubts about that decision. No, let's keep it that way. Okay. For your own good. That's the priority anyway, because you're going to rub shoulders off and hurt people anyway. That's just life. Okay. But if we can avoid not hurting people, can we just avoid that? Don't go into marriage. It's not worth it. Okay. It says, growing up in the same town, I've seen multiple marriages implode, and the men always say the same thing. Good. The majority of men say that, right? What are the women saying? Have you taken the time? Because if you're going to really do a proper assessment of what particularly is going on, you would also be telling me what the women are saying. But you know what? Never mind. Don't do it. Don't worry about it. Because if you go ask women, what do they think? You're probably going to approach that situation with the bias. It's not going to work. You're not going to get an authentic, objective answer. Even if you did, you're not going to hear it, right? Because you've made up your mind. Okay, so it's just better to stay away. So they got screwed in the divorce. The men get screwed in the divorce. Again, it makes sense that men will be saying that. That makes sense to me, okay? Especially if these are men that have been screwed. They collected shege, right? Inside marriage, right? So it makes sense that they're saying they got screwed. It makes sense that you probably look for more stories like that, right? By the time you get to 30 stories out of about, 100,000 marriages, you basically will conclude, right, that it's just a bad deal for men, especially that you can relate with men. It makes complete sense to me. All right. Now it makes sense to me also that you're doubting that maybe it's not that bad. No, don't do it. Don't go into marriage. Stay away from marriage. Marriage is not for everyone. Can we all agree that marriage is just not for everyone? But we need to be specific. This is your experience, okay? Now, here I am nearing 40, had multiple relationships, and due to my aversion, right? Multiple relationships ended due to your aversion. Exactly. See, I didn't read that right earlier. Now I'm reading it right. It makes sense because you attract what you fear the most. That's just how life works. Anything you want to do in life, if you feel like there's value in it, you do it. But you also do it preparing to win in it, right? You don't just go there and say, hey, it's supposed to be perfect, it's going to be perfect. That's not going to work, right? And I've seen friends' marriages crumble the exact same way I have through, you're probably a fine boy. You can attract a lot of women and you're probably having trouble retaining women. Marriage will not work for you, bro. Anything long-term relationships will not work. Your life will be a lot more better, especially if you stay away from marriage channels like this and stop engaging conversations about marriage since you don't want it, because that's dictating, that's giving that you're doubting your decision. And I think that's a bad idea because somebody's daughter is going to be involved in that situation and it's a bad idea altogether. All right. So, but to the ultimate answer to your question, if it's a question at all, I don't think it's a question. I think it's a confused statement. Marriage isn't beneficial for men. That statement is false, dead on arrival. For you, it will be correct. All right. All right. So that's all I have. Let me know what you think in the comments about this. I'll be right back.
Beautiful girl. Spoiling night, killing time. I find a beautiful girl. It's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.